we all have things buried deep.
For some of us, it's intentional. For others, it could be a survival tactic.
But in order for you to heal and grow into your purpose,
Into who you were truly meant to be, sometimes you gotta have those uncomfortable conversations.
man, it's time we unpacked. Let me, first of all, by your spirit, bro. Lord, Father God, I thank you. I praise you. I give you all the glory and honor. I thank you for blessing us with this time, this place, this moment. I ask that you bless the hands and feet of the engineer, the atmosphere, the ideas, and the words, the expressions, the heartfelt energy that we are trying to present this audience with, Lord Father God. I ask that you allow us to unpack with whatever you have in us, Lord Father God. Allow it to let it out, allow us to let it out, allow us to let them see us unfold into the men we are trying to become. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 All right. So, welcome. I am Aaron Eason, aka Mr. Always Good, Never Bad.
And I'm Greg Figueroa, aka Felony Fit.
And today I wanna get right to it. And I remember it's all the time. I call you on the phone and I feel like every time I talk to you,
Here we go.
you have these random outbursts, like in terms of like people affecting your energy in moments.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them outbursts. They're moments of expression. They're not outbursts. They're just moments of expression.
Well, I get to be in those moments with you sometimes because you take me to a space where I have to hear how you feel about what may be going on over the phone.
Right.
So, I mean, let's just say you're on the road and somebody decides they want to cut Greg off.
Right.
Man, that's the stupidest thing in the world, right?
Right, but well, I mean, it's not stupid, and you know, it's not stupid, and my reaction is not stupid either. You understand?
It can be sometimes a little bit out of unnecessary.
Listen. My reaction,
Man, what the fuck is you like?
But that's my reaction because let me tell you something. Because what a person's reaction is versus what a person's reaction could be. Sometimes you gotta say, I'm going to take the lesser of two evils. I'm going to take Greg yelling and screaming in his car behind these closed windows, then Greg parking up, jumping out this whip at 6'3", 260, and this nigga deciding to stand his ground and somebody putting a hole through my man's chest. I've learned that in certain situations, you can express yourself, but it has to be done in a healthy fashion.
Now, let me ask you a question, because my guy Wayne Dyer said something. He said some fly shit. He said, what comes out of an orange when you squeeze it?
The orange juice.
And of course.
Orange juice.
Doesn't matter
if you squeeze
who squeezes that
juice,
orange.
You got apple juice out, something was wrong. You probably put that orange up there.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who squeezes the orange. An orange is gonna create orange juice when you squeeze it, right?
You apply pressure.
When you apply pressure to it, when you squeeze it, right? So whatever these people that have these responses to things that they're either pressured by or something's applied to it that tends to squeeze something out of them, is whatever's in it.
It's a reaction that's already there.
That's already there. That's deeply rooted in there. If it's anger, depression, frustration,
okay,
you're going to let out whatever is in you at that moment.
Right.
And that means that we have to work on something for that to diminish, for that to dissolve, for it to not be. It can't join us in the journey up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be the same guy we was 10 years ago.
If we know it's a quality that's a detriment to our overall person, then it's not something we could bring with us.
That's a catastrophic statement sometimes, in my opinion. Because if you know it's a quality that's to your detriment, then you're going to wait to get a confirmation from something to know that.
Well, yeah, shit. You hit your head against the wall too many times.
Yeah, do you really want to hit your head against the wall to find that out?
No, but that's the confirmation. Like, we learn through life's experience. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so hear me out. I just told you what you're doing don't need to be done.
Right, but I'm telling you about 1,000 other ways that it could be done. I'm telling you that the expression has been learned.
No, I mean,
I've
when
learned
you
to express myself in those moments in a way where the repercussions could be none. The repercussions for me in those moments that I'm talking to you on the telephone and I get mad at somebody who cuts me off, or somebody who does something on the road. The repercussions for me in those moments, the extent of how far they could go is just me raising my voice to a point where I inadvertently jerk the wheel or something like that and spin out of control, because that is where my efforts and my energy for that is concentrated in that one moment. Because once I drive past that person, or that person gets off at the exit, or that person proceeds to drive on.
Yeah, but that's not everyone, and that's not all the time.
No, I know. I get that, and I understand where we're going. That's why, situation by situation, and we always refer to that when we get into it, when we get into the depth of whatever we're talking about. But situation by situation, we learn in life to act in the moment according to our practice. You know what I'm saying? Like our coaches through life when we're younger and we playing sports, they'll drill you. They'll put you through certain drills. They'll put you through certain situations. But they couldn't mimic exactly what would transpire in a game. They can give you scenarios based on what their experiences have seen, and they'll drill you in a certain degree. But we have to trust our practice. We have to trust our practice.
Think about that
we
moment,
have to know that in that moment we're prepared, even if we're not prepared for every single thing in that moment.
Right, but let's be honest. That's a triggering moment that I get to be a part of.
Fact.
Let's be real. How many times have you been with your lady, and those moments, because they're rooted deeper in the relationship, you get triggered to have to condense your response based on things that are in you, because you know what the trickling effect could be.
Facts.
If you just like spaz, like which is sometimes our nature.
Facts.
Because it's what's fucking in us, what we haven't resolved yet.
Facts.
And these triggers, a lot of times we have to pay attention to these triggers, because they're motivating us to understand what we need to heal.
Right. Triggers, especially and from a therapeutic standpoint, like when you've been through the therapy process and you start to identify your triggers, identify reasons that your triggers exist, you start to learn the strength of those triggers and the magnitude of what they can sometimes conjure up. So you're 100% right. Like, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, and I'm saying that in those moments when I share a moment like that with my shorty now, I'm at a level of practice where I've understood now that being transparent with her in those moments will allow me not only to identify the trigger, but identify the emotion and how I should react to that emotion. Like, she has been good enough to me to help me notice those things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the luck of the draw, because not everybody in every relationship is capable of being that partner. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so have you found, I don't want to go there yet. Because what I'm understanding about me in these spaces of growth is that a lot of stuff has not been resolved. A lot of things I haven't taken my time to heal and to work on myself.
Right.
In areas where, like, I can.
Is it because you're too busy, or
no? It's because I wasn't identifying
when I say busy,
the problem.
Okay.
One, and I didn't also understand what I was working towards.
Well, that's what I was getting at. When I say busy, I meant, like, were you so busy moving in a direction that you weren't
and you also think
taking in the scenery along the way and understanding what's exactly happening.
Yeah, understanding your responsibility in the process. Yeah. And it's like, that's why some things don't happen in the time that you want it, because you're not built for it yet. You're not paying attention to what isn't rooted in a good foundation.
Right.
To take you.
You haven't identified those triggers.
Yeah, so once I started to understand, there's a lot of stuff in me that comes out. And you could also see it in stuff like this. I heard Sadhguru say a lot of unhappy people, like, rob others of their joy.
Yeah.
To attain joy.
You're right. Hurt people.
Nah, I won't go that far. What I'm saying is,
it's a true statement.
Well, that's true, but let's think of it the other way. If you don't know how to be happy, you are going to find a way to make sure someone else can make you happy. 100%. And robbing someone else of their ability, robbing someone of their joy can create you can become a nuisance. It could be almost like
it could be draining.
Yeah, because you're supposed to produce it.
Create resentment.
Yeah, you're supposed to produce it. So at the end of the day, like you're not figuring out that you are supposed to be happy. You are supposed to create your own happiness instead of seeking things and like sucking things out of people to get that joy, to get that happiness. You're never going to be who you need to be. And there's going to be a point where you're going to have to understand, I need to work on my own joy.
Right. And unfortunately, you like, we're always going to be privy to relationships and situationships that amount from shit like that, because not enough people are doing that work. Not enough people are doing that work, and people are in relationships. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Not enough people are like, too many people, and I'm not talking about me, I'm not talking about you, I'm just talking about the world, the things that we see.
Well, I can respectfully say that in my last situation, it took almost the entire relationship for me to know I didn't understand that I could be a vibe.
Right.
Like as a person, I could be a good vibe.
Personally, yeah.
I was dating someone that was.
Right.
And that's what I liked about that person. That's what I thought was like, that was what made me fall in love. But I didn't know how to be it myself.
Right.
So I was also seeking that through her.
Right.
To identify it for myself, because I liked it.
Understood.
I just didn't know how to be it.
But now look at the flip side to that coin. Do you think that she was also trying to like draw things out of herself that she didn't know how to be by being with you? And that's what I'm saying.
That could be very true.
Like too many times people are pulling from each other and not being genuine.
I can also tell you
my
bad energy, my bad vibes were intolerable.
Yeah. They create an animosity.
Because the expectation, it wasn't so much that I was supposed to be a good vibe. It was more so, don't drain me of my good vibes. Don't bring me down.
Right.
Like you could be bad energy, but just keep that shit to yourself.
Right. Nah,
I didn't know how to do that. So once I started to absorb and understanding that, I started to question everything.
Right.
And
it's only right that you should though, because I mean, it's a powerful thing to realize something about yourself that's not self-affirming, like that's not complimentary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
It's like when you could take a hard look at yourself and be like, damn, like I'm not this. And understand that whatever that thing is something that you should be, something that you should be working towards. But when you acknowledge that you're not that is something that you should, like the start of noticing that is something you should applaud yourself for and salute yourself for, because not too many people are able to do that. And when they do it, sometimes it's so far gone and they soured so many relationships that they sullied their name in the mouths of so many people that there's no coming back for them socially.
What's crazy about that is, one, my ex-wife helped me start the journey. She told me about myself in a way that I no longer could agree, because I wasn't, my life, my status had changed. My responsibilities has changed, and I could not be seen as the same kid I was in high school, because that image didn't match the man I was becoming.
Didn't match who you grow into.
Oh my God, this ties in so well. What happened is, a couple of years ago, the other day I went to go see my pops. He passed away in February 4th, 94. I was 6 years old.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
And as I'm going to see my pops, he's my sore spot and the most manly part about me in terms of like why I want to be great. But he's also the person that breaks me down when I talk about him, because one of the things I realized when I went to go see him the other day is that I don't know who he is. Right. At all. Like I get to a certain age where everyone wants to start talking about him, but it's like a movie character, bro.
Right. You talking about somebody I've always heard about, never seen.
I grew up not hearing a peep from my grandmother, not hearing a peep from my aunt, not hearing any words, any confirmations, any understanding from my father's best friend, who was my godfather. He was there. He was a very good man He took his responsibility super serious. He's a military dude, so he was good about that. He looked after his man's kids.
Regimented.
Like he did his thing. Me and him, we could scrap and talk after. Like that's the kind of relationship we have. I'm not really cool with him, but I respect him for being the type of man he was.
Right.
But I never heard him talk about my father. Not one word.
Right.
So now, nothing's wrong with that. At the age I'm growing up, I'm not curious about what I'm not hearing. I'm not taking offense to it. I'm not distorting the idea of who he could have been because, apparently no one wants to talk about my father because he was much a bad person. None of those ideas come to mind. And not even my mother. But I understood it. That's why she's the last person I put on the list to blame for. And I'm not saying I'm blaming anybody. I'm saying this did not happen. But I wouldn't put my mom on that list because she's the only one that had a whole new job and had to figure out how to continue to get better at it by raising 4 kids alone. She didn't sign up for it. If my mom was sitting here, she'd tell you that there's a lot of hurt and pain she feels about my father for not being there for her to help her through this journey. Because me and my brother was wild, bro.
I can only imagine.
Wow. So I'm sitting here, I'm saying to myself, who can I possibly be if I have no idea who created me? Like literally, right?
Yeah, I mean.
And I'm walking through this idea of who my father was, because later on in life, when I turned 19, 20, when I'm getting married, that's when my mom wants to start talking about my father.
Right.
I have a responsibility for another kid, and now I get the image of a man that was great. When I tell you, I used to go to church every Sunday. It wasn't until I started working at my church that people would come up to me and tell me about my father. Dope ball player, cool dude, nicest guy I ever met. I've never heard one bad thing about my father.
Right.
So now, imagine going your whole life not knowing someone great, right? And you walking around with all this animosity, all this anger, all this interest in trying to be someone because you don't know who the fuck you are.
Right.
And all someone had to do is tell me as a kid, I have the genealogy of someone great. I have an attachment to something that never had I've never heard a negative thing come out of anybody's mouth. It got to the point where when I got older, my father was a big brother to a lot of young men in White Plains, in New Rock, because that's where I initially lived when I was born at White Plains Hospital. So we moved to New Rock. We lived in New Rock for a couple of years when I was young. And he was a big brother to a lot of young men. And one of them stuck around, like his name stuck around, his energy stuck around. His mom, actually I had a relationship with his mom more than I had with him, because Miss Bobin, she was like our second grandmother.
Right.
And
everybody got one of those.
Right.
Yeah, some
facts. So I just knew him in connection to my father. I had to be 3 years ago. I go and see this man. One, he's proud of me because he saw the child. He saw the person I was growing into, right? I get to asking him questions, and all he does is start crying, bro. If it wasn't for your pops, I don't know who I'd be today. Yada yada blah blah. And all I'm doing is I'm not even emotional. I'm confused. I'm confused like a motherfucker, because the image I've had of myself, this negative, like I just had this whole other image of who I was, and I created it out of confusion, bro.
Yeah.
So now you walk around, you hear about your pops. Even my cousin, bro. My cousin had the nerve to tell me one time, yo, I just wish your pops would have just let me live with him. I wish I could have grown up with him. I wish I could have been around him more. Like, my cousin praises my father. Like, and it's the same thing. I had to turn 19, 20 because my cousin's from Cali, and I had to be around him. And all he would talk about, he's probably the only person that talks about my father so much that I actually have to believe everyone else when they talk about him being a great man. Because he tells me real stories about him being the type of person he is, and him wanting to grow up to be just like him, knowing that that my cousin, being the man he turned out to be, wanting that version of himself, it would have been like a good connection. Would have been something that it would have benefited him.
It would have been,
Because he knows he's almost 10 years my senior, so he's old. He's an OG.
Facts.
He saw my father. He talked with my father. He saw what a man looked like.
Right. He had an image.
And he wanted that around him.
Right.
To become someone.
Right.
So he knew what he would have been different.
Bro, listen, but first off, part of my emotions, right? First off, as your people's, sorry.
I appreciate that.
All right, let me shake off. So listen. The concept, what we do here, and what this is built on is mental health, right? And what people seldom don't tie in to mental health and mental illness is identity and self-identity and where it's drawn from, what it's influenced by, right? So speaking from a place of inexperience as a spectator, not only to your story, but to your life having been lived already as a person hearing this now, right? A person who grew up completely different, who, see, as we get older, just like you said, and you have an image of somebody you didn't know was there, as I've gotten older, I've been able to sharpen and refine and kind of use modern technology, if you will, to add more detail to the image that I've had. You know what I'm saying? As far as my appreciation. And again, that's the luck of the draw. Anything can happen to anybody at any time.
It's a fact.
But the attachment to knowing where you came from and then aspiring to go somewhere else is a natural attachment. So my emotion now isn't one of devastation for myself, but it's like to hear my man being robbed of
a story,
that
bro.
opportunity. It sucks.
It's just like, yeah, man.
Being the places I've been, and we'll get into my shit another day, but seen too many niggas that could have had a way out. Like you talking about your cousin, uncle, 10 years your senior, who could have had an opportunity, a nigga sit with them like your pops, you know what I'm saying? Who could have turned out so differently, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I see that and I evaluate everything, I evaluate what I've seen, who I've seen, and then I sit here with you today under this level of emotion, hearing this story for the first time. Like my hat goes off to you, my nigga, like real shit. Because you could be somewhere else, right?
So I go through this process as a young man. All I had was the idea that my pops went to Bishop Lockland, played ball, and that's all I kind of knew. So I cling to it. My entire childhood, all I wanted to do was play ball. All I wanted to do was be a ball player. If you asked me what was going to happen, I was going to the NBA. That's what I thought.
Then you grew up to be 5'4".
Now, yeah, that was never really my issue. You know what? That wasn't my issue. You know what my issue was? My attitude. I had a dog in me that one, I was just as confident as I am in life on that court.
Facts.
And I wasn't great, but I had
Scrappy.
I had the juice.
Right.
I knew how to blend it. I could figure it out.
Fact.
But what was happening is I was blocking my blessings, right? I ain't had a guidance. I ain't take nobody's tutelage. I ain't take nobody's energy. By the time I got to junior high school, I remember one game. Now this is what is in me. This is what I want to be because of my father. I only knew
because of the image.
That's all I had was an image of a ball player.
Right.
Let me make him proud by being a ball player.
Facts.
So my attitude and my dreams weren't aligned clearly. So I'm in a game, and I'm a defender type of dude, as well as a ball, like I have good handle. I must have gotten 3 fouls within the first 8 minutes of the first quarter. So,
Don't sound like a great defender.
Nah. I don't know what it was, but the ref was. I was beefing because of it. I was beefing with the refs. My coach pulls me out. I start beefing with my coach.
Right.
I'm just I don't give a fuck about nothing.
Right.
I beef with my coach. Then from that sideline, the ref calls another foul. I start wilding again, basically on the ref.
Facts.
Then my coach kicks me off the bench. And then his energy's so out
off
there.
The bench, off the bench, like to the locker room, like off the team?
Yeah. I actually probably kicked that up the notch. Get out of here. Get out of here. Fuck you mean get out of here? You know, matter of fact, take off your jersey. You're off the team.
Oh, shit.
This isn't while the game is, they're playing the game.
Yeah, facts.
I said, fuck out of here, take off my jersey.
You was Antonio Brown before Antonio Brown.
Yeah, you bugging. I said, you bugging. I'm keeping this jersey. And I chucked the deuces. Now, this was the coach that went from junior high school to JV.
Right.
From JV to varsity.
So now you didn't stand a chance.
I had no chances of making these teams.
Burnt that bridge. You burnt that bridge.
At the youngest age I could.
At the youngest age possible.
And guess what? I checked out of school.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah, because
who am I going to become?
Yeah, facts.
What am I actually doing? I told my mom one day, I said, Ma, the reason why I don't even tell people I went to Uniondale, the reason why I don't because everything I wanted to do in that town, everything I had an aspiration, my perspective of who I was going to be, was taken away from me. I robbed myself initially, but I didn't have an opportunity to become a ball player.
Right.
So why am I in school?
Right.
Like, there's nothing you can convince me about. No, because that was where my greatness was attached to I had to have ball in that narrative for everything else to make sense.
Right.
After that, I just chased bread.
Man, listen, the only reason I cracked a smile when you said that is because I ended up going through that years later than you did. You know what I'm saying? As a freshman in college, I was on a football team with a lot of talent, especially as freshmen. Like my man P that you met up there, you know what I'm saying? He was our running back. He was, probably a step away from pros, like by the time he finished. But I mean, he was a savage. A savage. And the tradition that they were building there at that school at the time, it would have been great to be a part of that. But you see, I had that attitude at that time. Like, y'all came and looked for me. Y'all recruited me. So that means I must be some fucking body. Like, nah, nigga, you got here. Now you got to buy into the system. You know what I'm saying? But I went there with an attitude like, I'm going to do me and y'all going to accept me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And when they didn't accept me no more, guess what happened? If I'm not playing ball, what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm running around chasing pussy on campus and doing things I shouldn't be doing. Hence the fact that I, to this day, can't go back to that campus at all, ever. Like, I'm on a list of lifetime not allowed back there type shit.
And I think,
you know what I'm saying?
I think largely that whole, remembering how I even fell in love with ball, it made it so much harder to even like that narrative, because I couldn't be the only thing I knew my father was.
Right. The image that you built up, you couldn't.
Yeah. I used to wear his jersey underneath my jerseys, bro.
Yeah.
I had to feel, and it's crazy because as a man, the boy in me is way more connected to him than I was when I was younger. I just was doing things off kinetic response. I just knew I wanted to be close to my pops, but I was never emotionally interested in it. I just knew that's what I wanted to do because that's what I understood. So all I was given, and I wasn't asking questions.
Right.
I asked a lot of questions as a kid,
right.
but never any questions about my father. And you want to know what's crazy? Subconsciously, I was afraid to find out how great he was.
Because let me tell you something. It's a natural response to suppress things that will cause us pain. Bro, listen, let me tell you something. You don't have to be, 30, 40 years old and have lived life on so many different platforms to understand that it's a natural response. Self-preservation is a natural response. Like, nobody wants to go through the pain. So if we understand on some level of our subconscious that it's going to hurt us, then we're not going to explore it. And just because you are young, just because you are old, it's about when life thrusts that decision into your face. And that's the way you repress it. That's the way you pack that bag. You pack that bag in a way and you tuck things away in that bag.
Yo, but unpacking that, it required a lot of forgiveness. Because if I can be honest, I blamed all those people I named for not giving me a shot at understanding who I am. And like, I want to.
When you say forgiveness, like you mean you
like,
looking at it like you should have asked more questions and prompted them to tell you more?
Who the hell do I look like I am at 6 years old? You know what happened the next day? The next day, everything was normal. After we buried my father, everything was normal. As a matter of fact, the day that my mom came home from the hospital and told everybody he passed away, I don't know. We didn't ask my mom nothing, bro.
Yeah, no questions, no.
My mom, if you think about it, she did her job so well that she avoided that. Like, she avoided having to go down those roads. Because I could just imagine how hard it would be for her to reminisce her husband.
She did her job well for who? Because I'm
well,
sure
in the sense of,
for her now, she got shit she got to unpack now.
That's how this started, bro.
I remember. I know that.
That's how it started. But the thing is when I say, well, I know a lot of people in her position that come from the hood. We was in East New York. We lived in East New York.
Right.
I was supposed to go to Gershwin, bro. Like we were like the 10-block radius away from pink houses. I was growing up in the hood.
Right.
If she didn't figure this shit out and move us to Long Island,
life would have been completely different.
Well, for me, I know it would have. My brother's in jail.
I mean, yeah.
My brother has been locked up my entire life, basically.
Statistically,
so what you were saying before,
right?
Like
where you could.
That's the only person I looked up to.
Facts.
My brother,
so
because
made the opposite choices.
He gave me the tools, and it's like I love him to death because I understand the need for our relationship to go the way it went because both of us couldn't go down that road. He basically repelled me to him so that I can make sure that when he come home, he's safe, he good, he on his way to the life that he was supposed to have.
Facts.
Because in my mind, he has my pop's thing. So part of me always used to hate that too.
Okay.
Because here I am trying to be my pops in every which way, ball player, like whatever I had. And my brother's just out there acting like he...
disregarding something that you
his
hold.
His name, bro.
Yeah, you disregard something that you hold so high.
People don't know this.
Yeah,
people don't never really knew this.
That will create all type of resentment.
The name of my business from when I was younger was Ape Style Fitness. APE stands for Aaron Paul Eason. Okay. My father gave us an acronym for our names to be Ape. I don't know if he knew what he was doing, but he created this Ape before I even knew I was an Ape. So my pop's name is Andre Pierre Eason. My brother's name is Andre Pierre Eason II.
Okay.
So the namesake to me, ball and the name is all I always roll with. You can ask my sisters, everybody. I walked around talking ape shit since I was a kid.
Right.
So now I'm growing up trying to I'm trying to be somebody, but I'm on my own shit.
Facts.
I'm on my own shit. And all I got is this name and the idea of the dream that died.
Right.
So now I'm looking at my brother like, yo, dude, moms ain't raised you this way. And you old enough to know that dad wouldn't even want you to dog his name out like that. Now, I never thought about this way. I just didn't like my brother because he just wasn't doing what I felt we were capable of doing as Easons, as men.
He was figuring out the way he had to figure it out.
Right. Just like I did.
Yeah, you're 100%.
Yeah, because he was, I don't know.
Because I'm gonna tell you what, when the big homie come home, right? And he has the opportunity to sit up here with us.
Yeah,
he gonna unpack some shit too.
It's gonna be different.
He gonna unpack some shit.
You want to know why it's gonna be different? Because I've only spoken over the phone over a limited amount of time, getting an understanding, an idea of his psyche, and understanding his character as he's grown. So I don't know my brother, like I should. But
funny,
oh boy, I want to know who he is when we come home. I'm gonna take advantage of that time.
I said to my brother just yesterday in a conversation that a lot of the reason that I have grown into the mentality that I have now concerning my own family, like we have a dynamic that, for it could be stronger, it could be stronger, but we're still a family, thank God, right? But I told him that it took me a long time to understand that just because we got raised by the same two people, we didn't have the same experiences.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? My brother's 5 years my senior. And, my grandfather passed away when my father was 9 years old. So and it's crazy how things are kind of synonymous actually in this conversation, because now that I think about it, my brother is a junior. So my brother's named after my father, right? So understand that the relationship that exists between my father and my brother, tumultuous to say it best. Like rocky is being lighthearted. Like I'm saying, like I've seen things over the years. I guess I've crossed some lines with my father as well, but my brother and my father have, like, I've seen these niggas fight like two men in a bar. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know each other type shit. Like I seen it where, like, and I understand that, dog, but you understand, I also told my brother, I said, listen, I never blame you for shit like that in the way you feel, or him for the way he feels, because I understand that as a 20-something-year-old man, learning how to be a father when you didn't have one, you're learning how to be a father because you have a child, not because you have a father. You know what I'm saying? So he was learning how to be a father. So his idea, especially coming from the islands, the way he was raised, the way discipline was instilled, the way emotions were shared, the connections that were made between parent and child, you know what I'm saying? All that shit was non-existent. Like this whole being in touch with your kids' emotion shit, this is not new shit, but it's not shit that was widely talked about
At all.
when we was growing
At
up.
all.
You know what I'm saying?
At all.
So my father was trying to learn how to be a father, and then imagine now I hate to strike a chord because I could imagine how this would, but imagine if your pops was alive, knowing that he gave his oldest son his name, and his son was sullying his name, dragging his name through the mud. So now my father names my brother after him. My brother hasn't always measured up for a multitude of reasons, because a father exalts his children, before they even grow into something. They talking next president, first black something, because you got that pride in you, that lion-like pride. This is my cub. This is my little guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna name him after me. He's gonna be everything I'm not. But then he turns out to be everything you not. That's a tough pill to swallow. And then when you watching it happen, and you instilling discipline, their relationship, it's fucked up.
It's funny you say that, because I remember sitting my mom down and talking to her. I said, you did a good job. Because despite bro being where he at, despite me coming out of everything I've decided to come out of, we alive, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother show though.
Right. That's
the
a fact.
The resilience,
What I'm really saying, though,
of the black woman is crazy.
What I'm really saying,
that's a whole different.
In response to what you like, sometimes we fuck it up. Like, people could do everything in their power, and we just gonna have to fuck it up to figure it out.
Oh yeah.
I honestly, I had to dig deep and understand that, I'm a large part of the reason why I didn't get to figure out who I was either.
Right, because you are yourself. You made your own mistakes.
Let's be clear. I don't think there's enough men helping other boys or other young men seek themselves. Learn how to seek yourself, because you're
too busy being influenced by what you think.
What do you think freedom costs?
Well, freedom could cost a lot, but
freedom will cost you the mask you have on.
I agree.
I would
say freedom would cost you all the vulnerability you've ever been afraid to display, freedom will cost you that. It will cost you all the transparency in the world.
Now this
Strip
mask
naked.
is a mask that feels so comfortable and it's so hard to shed or peel off, not because it fits so well, but because we've been wearing it for so long.
Right.
So now you go down this road where you're trying to figure out how to just dive into yourself. But how can you do that? How can you do that when you don't even know how to like remove the mask? We was talking about it earlier. Like, to know what freedom is to understand that you have to be willing to stop being so concerned and obsessed with yourself.
Right.
And the only way you can do that is if you know yourself.
Is if you know yourself and you feel safe. You know, it's
right, because removing that mask
safety is huge.
Now requires another level of faith in
trust
and who you know to be.
Facts.
But the process of even removing the mask is hard.
Right.
I don't want to get into that conversation, but the reality is when you're in the process of removing your mask, you're going down a road that's unfamiliar because you're so far away from the alignment you were supposed to be on,
right,
that you are now having to just blindly walk in faith through God's...
You're a wanderer. You turn into a wanderer.
And it's a safe wandering because at the end of the day, you're being led by something way bigger, way more powerful than you.
And you're motivated by something different too, because when you decide to make those decisions and walk down that path of unknowingness, you're making that decision because you already know the path that you were on before doesn't end well. So you're making that decision from a somewhat informed standpoint. Because you don't know what's to come, but you know what you left behind is something you don't want to repeat. And that shit is huge. It's key.
So, one of the turning points in my life, I used to work at my church. And this was when I was down and out. Nobody would hire me. My felony would pop up on everything. I couldn't get a job at Dunkin' Donuts, man. And it's the type of felony I had. I started to have to realize, why is nobody hiring me? Now I'm lying, because I probably did not fill out any applications to anything like a Dunkin' Donuts. But what I'm saying is, I felt like that was the problem. I couldn't get a job anyway. So I went to, and nowhere that I wanted to kind of like be and do. So I get to the point where I'm like, let me go talk to my pastor's son. And I holler at him. And I get this job, and I'm at this job, and I don't feel like I'm supposed to be there, but I'm working on my craft. I got my social media buzzing, I'm working on training. I'm doing a lot of what I started to do a lot of what I'm already doing now. But it was like, it was really like I was lying and I was locked in, like working my ass off.
Fact.
One day I'm walking through the sanctuary at work, and this guy, his name is Minister Aaron Jenkins. He has my name.
Yeah.
Mr. Aaron. And I've always looked up to this man. Like, he's got the swag of someone I would want to be like if I could imagine myself to be a minister. A lot of people say I preach a lot. And the only person I can relate to in this space of trying to say I could probably wear those shoes is him. Because his talk game 100, and he got a way of getting through to you. Yeah, I'm saying, because his swag, his energy is on point. And like, I feel like I can relate to this man. I could walk behind him and not be threatened, but also feel like I'm going somewhere type shit.
Right, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, not literally, I mean in the sense of like, yo.
Like he wouldn't lead you down the wrong path.
He's a good mentor.
Right, facts. Right? Yeah, facts. I get the analogy completely.
So dude, I'm walking through, he daps me and says, yo, I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. Daps me, and there's a C note in my hand. Now, at that time, $1 from anybody would have been a blessing.
Fact.
I need everything at that time. I'm raising a child. I got a wife at home. I'm feeling like this felt like a stack. Right. No funny. That's how afraid of that moment I was.
Right,
because it felt so much like, first of all, it felt like so much more money than it really was. And then every word sounded like so much more true than that. I think people tell you all the time.
It was affirming.
It was such an affirmation that I actually broke down and cried a little bit.
I mean,
like in my own space, I felt like the version of me that I was comfortable with was threatened. Because now you're telling me that you watching me? That there's a level of an expectation of greatness in me?
Facts.
Now you're telling me I gotta look at myself and say, you're valuable, but not to people that you you think of watching you. But to valuable people. People's something I looked at as dope and great, and it wasn't like shrine-ish. It was I like this dude. I think he's a cool dude.
Right.
I think I can see myself like he would be a person I would want to be around all the time.
Right.
And I don't feel that way about a lot of people.
Right. Facts.
So when that comes to you, that was God saying, I need you to pay attention to your greatness. And I need you to know that I got great people that think you're great.
Facts.
I used to think I was so small, but not in the sense of like size or anything. Like, you know how that feeling is, man. After you get a felony and you have all these fucking aspirations for life.
Facts.
And all you know how to do is get to the bag the wrong way. And all you could do is make it look like you a successful person, but you can't really do anything successful anymore.
I know.
So now you walk around, you work as a logistics guy. I'm cleaning toilets and everything, bro.
Right.
I'm a janitor and look at where I'm at now. But I'm a janitor at this time, bro.
Because that's also and you gotta kind of be a little bit more lighthearted with yourself because of the perception we was led to believe about ourselves when or if you catch a felony. Like, the world is a different place now, thankfully, where a young man who might find himself making a mistake that maybe we did back in the past or whatever, it wouldn't necessarily bar him from a successful future. Whereas we would just embedded in us, like, if you get a felony, you can never get a job.
I didn't believe it.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't believe it. No, I didn't believe it enough because I kept trying to get jobs. What happened was,
I was a little different.
I
just kept getting to the bag.
I kept getting denied.
Yeah.
Everything I wanted was basically telling me, no, you are qualified, but your resume has an X on it.
Yeah, well, you're not trustworthy, and being trustworthy is that's how. First off, that's how people equated trustworthiness, and number two, in any relationship,
trust is needed.
It's number one.
So what he did for me, what he then made me feel, I wanted someone else to feel. Like, as I got older, I used to tell this story to very, very, like, people that I love, people that know me, because I get emotional every time. And I don't know if he knows how much that meant to me.
Right.
How much, because this is also a man that knew my father. He would say a few words about my pops.
In passing,
just to let me know.
To give you
and it wasn't for me.
It
wasn't for me in the sense, like, I think he needed to hear something good about his pop.
Right.
I think a lot of people were just like, yo, you don't know this, but your pops was this, your pops was that. And so he kind of opened the window of curiosity for me to now see a version of myself being the man that he would talk about.
Right.
So now you pour in this greatness. You know, it happened to me again with my pastor, actually. One day he asked me to come up to his office. And, like, I'm working for him, so this is the boss. You don't talk to the boss. You don't talk to the boss much.
Right,
and he's a different type of boss. He ain't got time to talk to you.
Right.
And he called me to his office. He sat me down. You know what he talked to me about? He said, "So what are you looking into? What do you want to do? What do you think about, like, franchises?
Right.
What do you think about like a Planet Fitness or like one of those franchises?" Because he knew I was in my workout joint.
Right.
So he's telling me, he calling me a boss. He's asking me what I want to do, what kind of boss I want to be.
Yeah, what kind of greatness do you aspire for? Because
and then he said he didn't even want to know. He was like, you know what? You should look into this. He was putting it on me, bro.
Right.
You know what that does to a young black man that's making $11 an hour, working overtime just to make sure I can live some of the life I was living when I was touching that money? You know what he did? First of all, I thought it was disrespectful. I'm gonna tell you why I thought it was disrespectful. I loved him for it. I loved the fact that he got me to think that way. But do you know, when I went downstairs, I started to realize, oh, okay, all right, let me do the work because I'm willing to do the work.
Right.
I get to the part where I understand what's necessary to actually qualify, to actually apply, to get a
franchise,
to for the application to go through. You need to net more than $1 million in cash and cash flow. You have to have cash flow for over $1 million. I looked at the phone. I threw it on the floor. I said, "What? This dude?" And I know he knew to some extent what it took to own something of that gratitude. But I saw it as, damn, this dude really just set me up for this.
Yeah, you took it as a deterrent. But he intended to light a fire.
I worked for you.
Yeah, he intended to light a fire.
And he did.
Yeah.
But that moment was a little scary to the point that always, I tell people, sometimes when you affirm somebody and they look at what you're affirming, they start to look at it and they're like, yeah, that's too much to live up to.
You ever see something smolder? You know, like when a fire is lit and you don't know it's lit. Like that nigga lit something in you that started burning, started to become a 5-alarm blaze 20-something years later, but you ain't know it.
I didn't. Yo, son, I own a franchise right now.
It's fact.
And it's under the same regimented space of what I was doing when I worked for him. So everything wasn't for nothing. Honestly, it doesn't happen often. Right. And this was happening. All right, so here's my point, man. This is happening, and I'm starting to get a taste of freedom now, right? Because my mask is starting to come on.
Right.
And now I'm starting to understand why the fuck I'm here.
Right.
Because, pardon my language, but last time I checked, I can't really tell that story more than twice. And I was in my 20s and late 20s and mid 20s actually, when I'm starting to hear how great I am.
Right.
So now
how great you could be if you
now what would have happened at 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old?
Fact.
What we about to become, bro?
Let me tell you something. You ever notice? And I don't. Nah, go ahead. Just continue.
What we about to become? I feel like it took me 2 to 3 years, maybe 3 to 4 years of real dog work on myself. Really, just scraping the shit out of my face to get this mask off. But had I had no need to put it on, I don't know. And so it's like now I'm moving with this sense of urgency, but also with this sense of freedom at the same time.
Right.
Like I'm not like, yo, we were supposed to.
You're not feeling that pressure.
I'm not.
There's no pressure to pretend. There's no pressure to be someone you're not. There's no pressure to impress people that don't need to be impressed. There's no need to impress anybody by anything other than who you are. That's freedom. Like when you get to that point, I mean, you could be a free man in prison. I know that sounds crazy, but you could be. You could be a free man in prison. Not too many people are. You know what I'm saying? But you could be a free man under the most refined constraints. You know what I'm saying? Because freedom is a matter of being comfortable inside your skin, inside your mind, inside your heart.
And inside every single moment that comes your way.
And every action that comes your way, you remain firm in who you are.
You know,
you can be free. Bro.
Someone asked me one time, if you had a choice to have anything you wanted, money, cars, clothes, houses, anytime, all the time, or the power to let things go, to let go of things, what would you choose?
Well, it depends at the time of my life I was asked that question, because I wouldn't understand the value of
letting
things.
shit go.
Yeah, I wouldn't have understood the value. So
you know how long it took me to get here to have a conversation about who I never knew, what I never knew about myself. Like crying and unraveling from these strongholds of masculinity, bro.
Facts. I know.
Letting
it is.
go of shit is a superpower. It's like the moment someone cuts you off, if you had that superpower, you wouldn't even know someone cut you off.
Right, facts. You would be oblivious to it
because those moments don't last longer than a millisecond.
Right.
And that was what I was alluding to when we were talking, the ability to be super in tuned with the discernment about a moment that you know ain't got shit to do with you.
Right. And can't let it define you, because too many times moments that don't have shit to do with you end up defining you.
And then
it's like,
and then you start asking yourself,
now you
gotta work on shit that you like this nigga got nothing to do with you.
Yeah, facts.
And that's why it's so important. Like when he gave me that money, he started to allow me to look inside myself and resolve some of the things that was coming out.
Right.
That was inside of me.
Right.
Like the frustration, the anger, the need to put people down and even cover shit up. I started to look at myself as valuable, so I had to behave like a valuable person. So I started to study, what is a valuable person?
Yeah.
You know, one of the greatest things about my last relationship, my ex taught me how to be a vibe. I studied her. I studied her demeanor. I can't really do it like her because she does it like she does it for a reason. But I valued that to the point where I wanted some part of me to have some of that swag.
Right.
So I started to learn, when you let go of the shit that's in you, that's barring you from being the better version, the person you can kind of like shapeshift into for the moments that matter.
Right. I think the illest swag that a person can have, and like nowadays, because of what pop culture has created and the term swag and what swag is personified to be, you know, it's all relative to what you're influenced by. But through my life's experience and from what I've amassed through my journey, the illest swag, the illest flex that I could have right now at this point that I'm at in my life right this second is the fact that I'm coming into a space, and you've kind of witnessed this, you've helped me get there in a lot of ways, but I'm coming into a space where I'm starting to not just like last year, a couple months ago, this time I was allude to it because it was a turning point in my life, and I was unraveling because I was identifying things that I didn't realize I needed to deal with because they were bubbling over. Like it was like a pot that was boiling, you know, with the lid on it.
It's funny you say that because people avoid being in spaces that demand more of them, that have high expectations.
So much. So
that was what you were doing. Like you were playing. You had one foot in, one foot out. But now your emotions, everything's starting to adjust to that transition.
Because when you really grow into that man, like listen, when you really grow into that masculinity. You know, we always had this picture of masculinity. Like we have these examples when we growing up. You got the G.I. Jones and He-Man, the A-Team, and all these shit. And you don't realize that the reason why them guys are so masculine is because they so tough, they don't give a fuck if you see them crying, if you see them going through something. Like we don't get to see that part of them because of what is illustrated.
Yeah, we only see what they need to be masculine for.
Right, but that's ultimately the quality that they're displaying, that they can be their true self, and their true self is tougher than you are, is cooler than you are, is more together than you are, because
they're in tune.
They're in tune with who the fuck they are. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I know that you can't dissect the examples we had growing up to come to that unless you've had some time to sit and ponder and stew and think about things that maybe people don't have time to think about.
Well, you know what? It's because it's easy to carry the past as a burden instead of a school.
Facts.
Like a lot of times, like we're looking at everything we experience and we tell a story around it like
it wasn't
I'm stuck here because
of
that. Like this is my life because it's like That's just you've just been educated on how to get out of your situation.
Right.
Like you've just looked at it that way because you ignoring the work, bro.
So many people look at their life as a story that's already written instead of looking at themselves as an author.
Son.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm an author to this shit, and that's what I had to realize, and that's what you helped me realize, too. Like, I remember that morning, I called you one morning, I was going through it. Like, I was bugging, sitting in the car, blowing down, and I was going through it. I was just out there. Like, I was out there. And, you know, I had so many ups and downs at that time because I was experimenting with different types of therapy, different types of drugs to help manage emotion and swings and all this goofball shit. So I'm on this up and down shit. And I forget what exactly it was that you said to me, but I remember snapping out of it in that moment and having a productive workout and going back on one of them unhealthy highs again. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I have really high highs and then I get really low lows like that are like fucking like they like paralyzed me, you know what I'm saying? So at the time you took me down, you took me out of that low by making me realize that, yo, bro, your past already happened, my nigga. Like, why are you still, because I don't think I peeled back enough layers with you to know how things affected me so much. But you just kept trying to press upon me that, yo, it already happened. So the quicker you own it, the quicker you just use it to your advantage, the quicker you'll be able to, like, make some headway as far as not being able to sleep at night and not being, you know what I'm saying? And that, another thing is, like, that's one of those smoldering moments. Like, you lit a fire that I didn't even know you lit. You know what I'm saying? But a year later, I'm in a completely different position. You know what I'm saying? I called you the other day just testifying about how some shit happened unbeknownst to me. And even to this moment, that hasn't come to fruition, but I'm not in a panic. I'm not in a panic because I'm staying the course. And I'm constantly putting in the work that's gonna get me better. So listen, being broke ain't the end of the world, ain't the end of the road because I've been imprisoned. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now I'm learning that I can be free and be free at the same time. You dig? Like, and that shit is so cool about this journey. That's why every time we get on the phone and we start hustling, bustling, schedule, and we gotta get in there, we gotta shoot this podcast. It's because I'm driven to create this freedom for myself that sitting in front of this microphone is doing. Like,
but it's you know what's really crazy that I've noticed about the intent behind a heart space. It's the need to provide this for the world. It's like a calling. It's like calling you.
It's a safe space. Like, people got to know, especially, like, we talk, and I mentioned it today on purpose because I don't think we mention mental health enough and mental health awareness because that's where this was built. That's where this came from.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that it's imperative that we have to start to understand that we adding to, but we're more or less creating a safe space. You know what I'm saying? Like shout outs to LeBron James and those gentlemen that be on the barbershop we referred to the other day.
Yeah.
Right? But you know, LeBron James is still a celebrity. I don't care if Will Smith go in there and cry. I don't care if Jay-Z go in there and cry. Them people have images that they have to uphold to the world. So there's no way you can convince me you're giving me your most authentic self. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not taking nothing away from them in that moment.
No, I hear you.
What I'm doing is I'm bigging us up for the creation for the space that we create and to let people know that this is a conversation that needs to be had. This is something that needs to be impressed upon people from the start. Like, this derobing and this unpacking and this taking off of masks is imperative towards your mental health, and your mental health correlates directly to a space that we are both super familiar in your physical health. You know what I'm saying? It is a direct reflection. How you see yourself is a direct reflection of how you treat yourself.
Everything we have at this moment is what we've attracted by the person we've already become.
Right.
Like
putting what we getting back. What we
yeah,
putting
yeah,
out.
like there's an
Facts.
energy out there. So once you change when you change what you're attracting.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
You change what you're attracting. You start to change the conversations you have. Start to change the circles you be in. You start to change the things you read, the programs you watch.
Now it's crazy because
and you don't know why.
Now, see, that is what I think.
It's the wandering part about it.
Yeah, but then there's the understanding of one thing, where that level of freedom comes from. I remember I was raising my son, and I was talking about it earlier. I got into that relationship and, took on that role as a father naturally. It was like no pressure. Shorty wasn't even like, I had to fight to even be his father because she would have very little expectations of me. So I had to supersede them based on how I felt, based on what I felt for him and for her. So I'm walking to this space and, come 2 years old, we have to get him diagnosed. Things are not looking right. And we were unfamiliar with what autism looked like at all.
Right.
So now we're walking through this.
Nobody really is. Nobody's,
Yeah, so we walk through this process where I'm now fighting her and her family, mostly her family. Very, very, very strong influence on every decision she makes. Because we're 19 years old, 20 years old.
Right.
We're not grown. We're not like you know what I'm saying? We're still kids.
You're thrust into a situation
so
as
now,
kids to do grown shit.
So now, so now you
Facts.
got all this influence surrounding you on how to make decisions. And I'm just like, when I believe in something, you cannot tell me shit. I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
so I'll go against the grain. I'll do whatever. So now we get him diagnosed, and I'm like, we got to do something about this. He's going to school, 2 years old. I know it's crazy. There's no school around here. He has to go all the way to Brooklyn. He's getting picked up on a bus as a kid, freaking 5:45, 6 a.m. in the morning to go to school for 7 o'clock because of all the kids they have to pick up in the neighboring cities, not even like around the corner. This school is in freaking Brooklyn, bro.
Right.
Or damn near Brooklyn. Yeah, no, it is in Brooklyn. So I'm like, nah, he has to get enrolled into a program. Early intervention. It has to happen now.
Yeah.
I'm fighting like crazy because nobody's thinking they should put a 2-year-old on a bus.
Yeah, but
it's not a normal thing.
Yeah,
no. And
I understand where you're
I don't think it's normal either, but we're not dealing with normal circumstances.
Normal circumstances, right.
So I start understanding my role
outside that
off
box.
the natural inclination. This is where my pops lives.
Right.
I become somebody that I didn't know because this was innately who my father was. He was a big brother. He was a mentor. He knew how to step in and be selfless as a man, and he had an identity there, right? So now I'm walking with this understanding of who I am, but not so much consciously. It's just subconscious. I'm an asshole. I'm gonna say and do what I want, but it's for a good cause here.
Now at this age in life, we realize now that our parents passed down to us a lot more than what we look like. Than what we look like. Whether you know them or not, whether you have a relationship with them or not, like right now, there's probably things that my son does that my son's mother can't stand, and he don't even know me. There are probably things that he does, expressions he makes, curiosities he has that she fucking resents. He doesn't even know me.
Which is why I think it was such a hard thing, because I really personally feel like there's stuff I don't even know I'm tapped into, and I wish I did.
Facts.
And so much of it, just like in your situation, could be so easy for the child to figure out.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it was a conversation y'all were having or someone was having about you.
Right.
That's it.
Just making him aware.
Yeah, because when you
have them aware.
When you're a child, everything that matters are the two adults that have you're around all the time. When I say everything, I mean
mold you.
Everything. I'm talking about when you want something, when you want something, when you want something, when you want something. Love, affection, things, ideas.
Food,
you go to them
shelter,
first.
Yeah,
so there's an innate feeling you are missing or have that could be missing if there's a gap in that process for a certain type of a connection, like for a father to a child. And one reason why I knew that is because all I wanted to do when raising my son is give him an identity because he couldn't give himself an identity. So now, what do? me and my ex-wife, we come up with an idea to start a nonprofit organization in his name. And we do this because we want to create a legacy for him because he might not be able to create one for himself.
Right.
So as a father, I'm building his life right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
You're laying
4 years old.
Yeah, as you should be laying a foundation for
Right,
your
right.
children.
But this is
That's what
all
we-
innate. This has nothing to do with like
With the example that you was given.
Yeah, because I'm
I get
thinking
it.
like, you know, all I want to do is create a legacy because my pops left me a name.
Right.
I leaned on that.
Right.
So I'm gonna do everything with this name.
Right.
And even if it's creating another man that's not my child, a legacy, I'm gonna do that. So I give him. We start this program called "I Am Not My Autism," and one day we get this idea to advertise for our 5K walks. So we've done one in the past, and we wanted to do another one. We was like, let's go all out. Posters, create ads on Facebook, all that, because Instagram wasn't popping like this at the time for videos. So I come up with this idea. It's us all standing for something. The name of the organization was I Am Not My Autism. So in that moment is when I think I started to question a lot about who I am as a man. But I didn't act on anything. It was just a looming question in the back of my mind.
Do you think
Some Nights is the name of the song.
You question that because like you were starting an initiative that like
I was doing
such a
something
moral...
just because I knew it was right to do, and my heart was in it. It wasn't innate. It wasn't the goal. It wasn't like I want to be a father. I want to be the best husband in the world. No. Because I wasn't doing any of those things with that tenacity. I was just doing it because, one, I loved him, and two, I can't love a child without loving his mom. So I really kind of loved my ex-wife through that relationship I had with him, and I carried on accordingly. Moments that were bad because I wasn't thinking in terms of what a great husband was, or like the man that I was trying to become. It was more of I was doing what I had to do, and my heart was in it.
Right.
But there was no goal on the end of these decisions. So now I'm looking at this expression of how we do this commercial, and the name of the song is Some Nights. Some nights I stay up casting in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. It's just one of these songs where if you listen to it, first of all, it's not a hip hop song.
Right.
It's like a rock song-ish, if you will.
Like some type of Christian rock?
Nah. It's a dope song. One day I'll play it for you, but the lyric is, what do I stand for? What do I stand for? Now, at the very end of this commercial, my son says, I am not my autism, he says.
Right.
And you see such a bold expression of him standing on that.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to create for him.
Right.
But I've never asked myself,
what do you stand for?
What do I legit stand for?
Right.
When the moment comes for me to be questioned about where I'm going, why I'm here, can I stand on something and ask myself, like, without a shadow of a doubt, here's my answer. And I started to realize, that's the most detrimental thing running around our community as men, as black men.
Facts.
If you ask a man in the middle of everything he's going through, what the fuck do you stand for, bro? Like, why do you wake up every day to get fly, to put on a show?
Right.
Why is that every conversation about every female you bagged and slept with? Like, what if I strip away all that cool shit you doing? What's your purpose of waking up in the morning?
Yeah, well, you know,
it's the scariest thing.
It's a scary thing, but
because that's one of the things that I had to start like demanding from myself, an answer to that question.
Scary, and the way things sometimes are scary is because they're so exciting. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that because that's exactly how I feel right now.
Fucking exciting. Like for me personally, and it's a little personal, but this is like recent history. Like getting hurt at work has taken away what I have always thought was who I was. You know, so it's like when you can't be who you always have been, who the fuck are you? Like, what else do you got? And it's like, what do you stand for? Like, now I'm excited at just finding out what's in me, what's embedded in me that's unbeknownst to me, that has yet to be tapped into, because I've been so laser focused on being this one aspect of my thing, of
what's
my
crazy,
whole
though?
basket of characteristics.
You know what's crazy? I remember us talking about this right before this happened to you.
Facts. Right
It was almost such a deep conversation
because
that we
I
were like, yo,
I hadn't even gotten hurt,
who
but
the
we
fuck
was
will
just,
we be?
yeah, I
Like,
hadn't even gotten hurt, but I was,
thank God this, thank God that.
I
And I'm
remember
like
that.
saying to myself,
I remember that
That's
because
God
that's
saying-
because that was when I was talking about how
Now
many
you're
things I
wondering.
wasn't going to do on Instagram and this, that, and third. Yeah, but now it's like,
now you're wandering.
yeah, wandering. And I'm excited because, and like I was telling my brother, because I'm staying the course. You understand? Staying the course. There's so much to be said for staying the fucking course. And I get excited saying that because that's why I'm fixing my posture. Because my nigga, listen, when you stay the course and you committed and you're genuine, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Genuine. Everything in the world that's good is accessible. You still have to be able to discern people you can trust versus who you can't, situation you
Nah, I
can be
100%
in
agree with you.
versus what you shouldn't. But when you're moving with a particular purpose and you are doing what you're supposed to do, there's not much worry you have to have.
It's true.
There really isn't much
It's
worry.
true. But the only deterrent usually is
It
the
doesn't
version of
happen
you.
at
No,
our time.
no, not even. It's the version of you that you're familiar with. Like,
Because you're constant wrestling. That's what
it's like you can't go
you
backwards.
can't. You can't.
And
But
that's
it's a wrestle. It's a
that-
struggle because you want to. Because
that's
it's
what
comfortable.
those moments in my pastor's office were. That's what those moments in that sanctuary was. They're reminding me that I'm on the course.
Facts.
Just tweak it, cause now I'm giving you a window of who you really are. Like everybody always wants this.
Your aim
this
is right.
description, this target, this clear understanding. If you keep doing this, you'll get here. I'm clear on the fact that I've got enough understanding to take one foot and put it in front of the other.
Right.
Like I remember us talking about before this this show. I think it was 2 days ago. Maybe it was yesterday morning. Oh no, it was 2 days ago. And I was like, yo, bro, I didn't book joint yet, so like we gotta see what's up, and only I have is this time and 7:00. And he was like, let's do 7. I was like, nah, I'm not doing 7. That's kind of crazy to try and get in here and give up this energy of preparedness. And I know you be up early. I be up early, but I really be up around 9:00. I'm a zombie until 9.
Yeah,
And like performance wise, I games are played in the evening, in the afternoon for a reason. But
like, but my shit is when I'm ready to go. Like my 7:00 is another nigga's 12 noon because I've been up since 3.
Right. So, but I say that because
so.
we were gonna push this episode back, and I kept wanting to say to you, I don't really care what you got going on, bro. We need to do this. I wanted to so bad, but I knew it was going to work out that way because my heart desired to get this out.
Yeah,
like, yo, I don't think y'all understand. I'm in therapy right
here
now.
But this is what it is. The aspirations that I'm trying to reach, can't do that. Can't reach that if, I'm trying every moment to fit into this timeline of things sometimes, and this morning is a prime example of that. Like, I understood the passion you had for it. I understand where this is going. I understand the traction we're starting to build. And, and because of that, certain times we have to make sacrifices. Certain things have to be.
These are your words.
Yeah,
I remember you said, yo,
but I'm with
bro would
this
sit
shit.
me down and tell me,
I
yo.
would be on his ass on some on your pause. But listen, this is my brother. He's one of the busiest people I know. Sometimes it's self-imposed fucking chaos, but he operates like that, and it works. I'm gonna tell you something that you probably don't even know, right? Or you might know, but it's like exactly what I just said in that little last part of what I was saying to you about when you kind of figure it out and you kind of laser focus and you stay in the course. Yeah, but I'm telling you, everything that I feel should be for me is happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
It's all happening.
Mhm.
And it's crazy, bro, because I'm gonna tell you what. You already know because you've been around myself, you've been around my wife, you've been in my house, you know what I'm saying? You've been around my friends. So you know how I'm always affectionate with my wife. However, last few weeks, last month and a half, you know, because I've been feeling differently about my own prospects, I'm starting to appreciate the beauty and other shit way more. You feel me? Like because I'm a little bit more driven and focused on the goal, it's like, yo, I can't wait to get home because my home situation, I've always told you I love being home, but it's like I appreciate the beauty in my home more because when I'm there, I'm at peace and I can focus on the shit that excites me. It's like when you're a kid and you get a new video game, but then you gotta go to school. And all day in school, you just like, yo, I just want to get home so I can play my shit. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling lately. It's like I just want to get home so I could be around what is familiar and what I love and the people I love and my dogs, of course. And like just focus on what I know is coming because of what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy because that's exactly how I felt last night.
Yeah, bro.
Like I could have went out last night. It's
because of what I'm
Fashion
doing.
Week. I got invited to a couple of things. And I had so much on my heart for the last week or so. And I remember telling you, I hit you up while you was in Bermuda. I was like, yo, bro, this next one about to be real.
Facts.
Like I got so much to talk about that. I say that I feel, and I don't come on here to just dispel on y'all because I think it's cool. Now I genuinely like love giving out free game. But this level of game isn't for you to make money, technically. It's not for you to get the chicks. It's not for you to stay fly. It's not for you to like level up and get a better job. It's for you, bro.
And all of those things he just mentioned, by the way, are going to come once you start doing this work.
Facts.
Once you start doing this work, my nigga, yo, look, all the swag you thought you had, when you start doing work and you becoming comfortable in your skin,
that nigga, level of freedom is something else, bro.
Yo, bro, it is crazy. It is like crazy.
So to bring everything together, like all my life, I wanted to be a grown up. I wanted to be a man, but I was doing things that made me, one, feel like one, and two, that just wasn't like my peers. I was just trying to make sure I was being different, also leading the pack, like a boss. And so like I identified by the few things I was doing and I was trying to do. And now at 35, I realized all I've been doing is running away from who I am. So now all I want to know in every moment I'm in, every time we get a chance to show up, is that I'm identifying with my purpose, my reason for fucking being here.
You know what I just thought of? And I don't know if this sounds as prophetic out loud as it sounded in my head, but it's like God already created us, my nigga. Like God already created us, and so busy in life, so many times in life we so busy trying to recreate something God already made great. Like nigga, God already made us. Why the hell are we constantly trying to recreate something? Creation story is the creation story happened.
Again, I think I'm now that the wandering energy we have.
That's what's drawing that out. The wandering energy is what making me think like that.
Yeah, because
like I don't have to recreate.
But now I understand that I can flow.
Right.
But what I'm creating in the moment is an understanding of that.
Right.
Like the identity is for this moment. not
identifying the moment.
Yeah, because like a lot of people go into every moment as a person they believe they need to be or were. It's the mask, man. It's the mask. And a lot of times that mask, it deters you from really getting to be someone in this world.
Right.
And you created the mask. You're not the creator though. You've attached this mask to something that someone made beautiful already.
Yeah,
and you created a version of yourself that does not sustain value in the universe. So I believe those understandings, they've created a responsibility for me.
Without question. You know, and with knowledge comes responsibility. Once you know, you are now held accountable.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Once you know, it's on you now.
It's funny, I'm working on this new project and I haven't talked to you about it. I understand that when I go into things now, when they're not about selling sneakers or, you know, working out, things that I like, but I can understand what they mean for me. I have a problem identifying who I need to be and how I need to do it because it doesn't attach to me. It's attached to the service of who I can be for other people.
Right. Facts.
Like it's like every time someone tells me I'm good at something, or I'm great at something, it requires a level of expectation for someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's like I need to be someone for someone else based on the person that I'm being told I am.
Right. I get
and that level of responsibility, it requires no understanding of what comes in return because service doesn't always pay.
Yeah. So I do understand where you're coming from with that. And I do think that I think it's organically in some people more than it is others to give of themselves. But
you've experienced those moments where you do it.
Set to receive.
Where it is organic.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
And how you feel afterwards, bro.
Yeah, but there's times when it's not organic. And for me, just because of who I am, the times when it's not organic is like the times when I'm on 125th and somebody come to the window and they need some money and I don't give it to them. Like, that's actually me going away from who I innately am. Because sometimes I'm like, damn, I only got 20. Can't give this nigga one right now. How you feel in those moments is really the defining factor of who you really are on a certain level.
That's a fact.
Because sometimes, bro, there's been times when I've literally been down to the oils and I bust the Yui because I didn't give the dollar. Like, I bust the Yui to give the dollar because of how I felt about not giving the dollar.
You know what's crazy? I don't have to do that anymore. I don't know if I've ever done that, but a lot of times I'll breathe. I walk around with something in my pocket for that reason. I keep reminding myself, yo, bro, you got to get these out.
Right.
But I say to myself, I've actually like allowed myself to believe this one thing. If someone asks for something, I'm going to give it.
Facts.
If no one asks,
then you don't have
then I don't have a problem with the walking right past somebody.
Right.
It's because this is how I've created the no question response.
But then
it's innately a part.
But I could open a whole nother conversation, and I don't want to open another conversation at this juncture in this conversation. But there is, because we talk about faith so often, there is an obligation that we have to notice even when someone isn't asking, and then take action.
Yeah, what I mean by I can walk by, it's not
No, I'm not saying
the intent to not give. It's like I can be laser focused.
Right.
Like and
to
I
the point where you're oblivious.
To the point where I notice it, but it's not touching me
on
to
an
do
emotional
anything.
level.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could get that.
You know what I mean? And then there's moments where I have to, because I'm like,
I could get that.
You know what I do when I do notice, but no one asks anything? I say, God bless you. I hope God takes care of you.
Yeah,
I literally lay a little like a 4-word prayer. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because
little things are the things that people don't do and people don't realize the importance of. God bless you when a person sneezes, or just a good morning. Thank you. You're welcome. Things like that. have a profound effect
on the universe.
The universe, yes. And I mean, we doing things for the greater good, the selflessness. But the selfishness in me is like, yo, a kind word goes a long fucking way. A kind word could change someone's life. It could.
You know what it could do for you?
Yeah.
It changes the nature of your being at the moment too.
Oh, because God gonna give it back to me tenfold.
Well, it's not. It's not the knowledge of what's coming back. It's the knowledge of the experience. You get to feel
accomplished.
And I'm not really about to. I don't know if this is the right way to. You get to feel like God. Like Jesus. I'm not saying in that sense.
I get what
you know
you're
what
saying.
I mean. You are
get
putting yourself in this position to be responsible for someone's joy, someone's ability to be free. So, like, that's a good feeling. It's not about the level of who you become. It's more of
what you said is not wrong, and the way you worded it is not wrong, because I think if you're faith-based, then we run around with we used to have those bracelets back in the day. What would Jesus do? Yeah. And the reason why we would do that is because we are trying to emulate
be more
our
like
God.
Yeah,
we were trying to do what our God would do in a situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a beautiful thing to recognize that about yourself and to know that you're aiming, your literal aim is to be better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and not for anyone else's benefit, but for everyone else's benefit, if that makes sense.
It does.
To be better and to leave a better mark on the world, to change a life. Because ultimately, that's what we're doing right now with this. Like, this space that we creating, this conversation that we are jumping into, that is now a conversation that's being had around the world about mental health, being had around the country about the state that Black men like ourselves are in, because there hasn't been any focus on mental health, because there hasn't been any real push to be aware of mental illness. You know what I'm saying? We are changing the scope right now. And we doing that just for the greater good of doing it.
I think that what's on my heart to say as we wrap this up. You're enough. Black boy, you're enough. Black OG, old man, you're enough. Black man, you're enough. If you figure out what's at the center of you, if you figure out what's innately in you, and you remove that mask for a day or two, you will get closer to who you're supposed to be for others and for yourself, and you will understand how powerful that ability to just express the original version of yourself, the enoughness of yourself is, and you'll choose that level of value every day.
Thanks.
I personally believe that's why I have a hard time with accepting my bad behavior. As a kid, I did some stupid shit. As a man, I did some stupid shit, and I am not happy with that person at all. And everyone always tells me, all my friends tell me, you're too hard on yourself. It's like, yeah, because I ain't getting no ass whoopings when I grew up. I ain't have nobody ship-shafting me. I ain't have nobody redirecting me like that. So I'm being my own dad, in a sense. I'm holding myself accountable without retribution, without limited consequence, because you owe it to yourself now. Fact. Someone's got to take the control and put you in place. And if it's not you, if you can beat yourself up to be better, then I applaud you.
Comes a point in every man's life when they can't expect somebody else to do the work for them anymore. And you got to do the work for yourself. You got to do the work for yourself. And that's what it's all about.
With that being said, again, I need you to know you're enough. It's coming from a person that's felt small and behaved a certain way because he didn't like to feel small all his life.
Facts.
So I want you to find out why you're here. That's what a masculine man's job is. A man is to find out and live in his purpose. Like, those are the two goals: to find out what it is that you're here to do and stay on that path, because it's a path of freedom too, and then be in that freedom once you get there. Yeah. And then you'll watch God do some things some things you just didn't even think you deserved. You'll be living off grace and favor like it's free money.
Yeah.
And it won't be weird at that point. You'll actually hold yourself to a higher regard.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to thank you, Greg, for letting me
That's why we created this
amongst
space. You ain't gotta ever thank me for that. That's why we created this shit. So that way we had a platform to do it, have a platform to share with the world, and we have a platform to lead by example. You dig? So you ain't gotta apologize. You ain't gotta thank me. Let's just keep this energy up. Let's keep offering what we offering to the world. Let's keep making people better. Like, that's all we gotta do. That's our purpose. We finding that out more and more every day. So let's live in that shit.
Heard you. I can't leave you without saying this. Allow your actions to be guided by love, your thoughts to be rooted in peace, and for your life to always mature in happiness. I'm Aaron Eason, a.k.a. Mr. Always Good, Never Bad.
And I'm Greg Figueroa, a.k.a. Felony Fit.
And we out.